Welcome to the Queen's Lair. It's your girl, the Mad Queen. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the top 5 epics for beginners. This list is not going to be in any kind of order, and the way I came up with this list is by thinking about what beginners really need and what they need to use to progress faster. And this is not going to include getting high damage in the guild boss or anything like that. This is strictly going to be just for general progressing, and these are also going to be heroes that you're able to take all the way into the late and end game. Before I go ahead and show you that, I do want to say we're looking for guild members in the Queen's Lair. We have we have quite a few spots open. And then also for our lower level guild that is welcome to anybody, it's called the Queen's Watch, and we're also looking for members there. But let's go ahead and take a look at the heroes. The first hero on the list is going to be Zatlux. Zatlux is insane, and he's so good because his gear requirements are not terrible, and that's because he's able to give himself 30% crit rate. So you only have to be able to build 70% into him, and getting 100% crit rate plus attack and crit damage, especially in the beginning, is really hard to do. So Zatlux is a really good hero to use, and if you're a beginner, you should definitely be looking to use him. And the next person is going to be Nathalia. Nathalia is just another amazing, insane hero, and she can help you progress in a lot of things, not only through adventure, but also in the Void Tower, in endless trials, in dungeon content, and also in arena. So she's a really great option. She hits insane, and what's nice is she can be really good, honestly, with a warrior set, because although she does a multi-attack where she's able to damage everyone on the field at once, she's not actually programmed to do so, and she only does that if she has extra buffs on. So you don't need to put an Avarice set or anything like that on her specifically. She would work really good in either a full warrior set, or she would work good with an assassin set and a guard set, or some combination between a guard, assassin, and warrior set. But obviously you definitely want to make sure that you have the sets for those bonuses. But she's amazing. She's honestly one of my favorite heroes in the entire game. But because she is only programmed to hit one target at a time, that's why you don't need an Avarice set or something that boosts AoE damage like the Avarice set, because it's not going to do anything on Nathalia, because she's only programmed to hit one person at a time. But she's just able to hit multiple at a time if she has buffs. Is going to be Winstrix. Winstrix is really good. I still use her all the time in late game. I'm not in game yet, but I'm late game. I use her all the time, and she's really good because it's hard to get those stats that I was talking about earlier with, attack and crit damage, and also getting 100% crit rate and getting speed for your team to be fast enough to even go before the other team goes. Winstrix is amazing because she gives a speed buff, and she also gives an attack buff. But she also refreshes the cooldown of one ally's ultimate ability completely, so it resets it, which is really good for farming. And then her first skill is going to apply speed down to an enemy, but she has to have enough focus for that. So in the beginning of the game, you can look to use Winstrix in adventure stages, endless trial. You can use her in very early, you can use her in arena all the way throughout. Not saying that arena is the most important, because it's definitely not in the beginning, but it is one of your dailies, and it's one of the ways you actually get Zatlux. So Winstrix is an amazing option to use. That way you can have a little bit more speed without having to put more speed into your heroes. Then I'm gonna have to say William. William is somebody that really carried me through the beginning of the game. And this is for a few different reasons. And this is because of his ascension. After you get him ascended, he is going to give an extra 60% damage to your entire team when they use their basic ability. So that's huge. And even the 40% before he's ascended is still pretty good. But he also has a joint attack for his first skill. And on his second skill, he's going to get defense up and counterattack, which is very important. And lastly, he has an 80% chance of putting defense down on all enemies. And eventually, if you take him to level 70, that goes to 100%. So William is a really good choice. There for a while, he kind of fell out after mid-game. And he was only really used in the guild boss. But William has definitely been making a comeback, and he is in one of the very best teams that are known right now for completing the highest level of the Ash Magisteria dungeon. So he's really great. He's great in arena. If you don't have another attacker, he can be good in adventure stages, although he's not the best for adventure stages. But he can also be pretty good in the Void Tower as well. And lastly, it was actually really hard to choose 5, because there are really a lot of good epics in the game, and most epics are actually pretty good. So, and like I said earlier, I'm trying to look at progressing throughout the adventure stages the most, because that's what you should be doing. Progressing throughout the adventure should be your main priority in the first couple of months that you're playing the game. I'm going to name my next one, and then I'm probably going to add an honorable mention or two. But my next one is going to be Akron. Akron is incredible. He gives your team, with his trait, an additional 10% defense overall to everyone, and 20 after he's ascended. He has a taunt on his second skill, which also does a ton of damage. That's based off of his defense. And his last ability is going to give 15% max health to all of his teammates, and it can stack 3 times. So if you do not have enough damage to just really go through whatever stages you're trying to do, he's amazing. And this is another hero that you can take into the late game, because Akron can be used in dungeon content, Akron can be used in the Void Tower and Arena, and you can also use him in the endless trials and adventures, like I was saying, if you just don't have the damage yet, because he's gonna help keep your team alive. I can't talk today, apparently. And without going into a ton of detail about my honorable mentions here, I'm just gonna go ahead and say who they are. And another really important thing to note about Akron is he's a fusion hero. So he is a little bit easier to get than these other heroes, because you're able to fuse lower level heroes together to make Akron, which is really nice. And the next person I'm going to mention is also a fusion hero, and that's going to be Santis. Santis, I didn't put her in the best 5 because you're not going to use her in adventure stages, you're not going to use her in arena, you're not going to use her in endless trial, you're not going to use her in the void tower. Santis is used for dungeon content, but Santis can be used in every single dungeon, so that's why she's really, really good. And my last honorable mention is actually going to be Auroch. Auroch is not necessarily the best, okay? But if you don't start the game out with someone like Valeria, you're going to need a fire unit that can deal damage. Auroch is great because you can buy copies of him actually in the store with points. Let me take a look. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's been a long time. I think it's in the arena. No? Trial team. Oh, in the event shop. So it's in the event shop and you can buy 20 of him a week and it takes 60 to make him. So if you don't pull him, you can have a copy of him in a month. So that's not too bad. If you're a new player looking for advice or you're an experienced player willing to give advice, join my growing Discord community. I'll leave the link for that in the description. It's a great way to get information from other players and another way to just learn more about the game in general. I also want to add in that I do have a lower level guild for beginners and mid-game players. Anybody is welcome into it. And if you are looking for a guild, it's called the Queen's Watch and it's all together. It's exactly like this, except the end says Watch. The Queen's Lair is for my higher level members. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll definitely get back to you. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm the Mad Queen and I'll catch you in the next video.